Beloved brothers and sisters, welcome to Readings with Regina. And I'm going to get right into the books, but I need to say this to you right now. First of all, October is the month of the Panther. Understand that. And you'll find out even more once I finish what I'm about to say to you. Right now, I'm coming into contemporary times. We are on the verge of nuclear war. Trump's threats to Putin, to Russia, which is a nuclear power, plus the United States is a nuclear power, and those Israelis that's committing genocide as a nuclear power. Look, I just needed to say that to you. Now I'm going to get into my beloved Black Panthers, but I want my listeners to understand, and I love you all. Thank you for subscribing. Do hit that like button, whatever that means, but it's supposed to mean something. But in any event, I needed to say that to you. And you need to be more conscious of what's going on right now in this killer country. Because understand this. White people love war. Yes! They love it. They love killing. They love blood. They love all of that. Yes, they do. So I just needed to say that to you. Okay? Because very often we're not quite aware of that. Now, this is a very special day. But first, let me go over the title of this episode. Bobby and Huey equal Assata, Fred, Dhoruba, Kathleen, Bunchy, Ericka, Jalil, Sekou, and millions more. I want you to understand that. I want you to understand that you, Black people, you had a Black army ready to go to war for you. See, very often we get caught up in defeats. No, like Maya Angelou said, there will always be defeats, but you must never be defeated. All right, do consider what my banner is saying there on the bottom of the screen. But let me tell you why this day is so special. I just found out on a Lyft server that I'm on that George Floyd, his birthday was October the 14th, 1973. That's when he came to the planet. Huey Newton and Bobby Seale created the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, October the 14th through the 15th, 1966. Yes, it was an overnight affair. Huey and Bobby were in Bobby Seale's office. Bobby Seale in West Oakland was a youth counselor. And he and Huey had gotten together. They were students at Merritt College. And they knew a new kind of group had to be formed. And it took them many talks. But the actual work that they did to create the principles of the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense was 2 days. The 14th through the 15th in Bobby Seale's office. Now, if you want to know more about that, and I want you to get my book, Poetry in the Black Panther Party, From Ancestral Memory, Morphogenetic Fields to Hip Hop. And Bobby himself wrote my foreword. Yes, he did. But I love those synchronicities. I love the fact that George Floyd came to the planet October the 14th. So I could even use him and compare it to that same date, okay, where two brothers had a vision that they put together that inspired millions of us across the world. All right, let me get to the books now. I'm going to be reading from Revolutionary Suicide. These are the actual words of Huey P. Newton. Okay, this is his autobiography. So I'm going to start reading from where I left off on Tuesday. And of course, once again, why am I doing this? Because October is the month of the Panther. Yes, it is. And you should share that with your children. You should make that a part of whatever holidays you celebrate. Don't forget that you had a Black army willing to give up everything for you, willing to even die for you if necessary, willing to go to jail for you if necessary. All right. So I'm picking up where I left off on Tuesday. This is Huey P. Newton, his autobiography. I was born in Monroe, Louisiana on February 17, 1942. The last of 7 children. Like other Black people of that time and place, I was born at home. They tell me that my mother was quite sick while she carried me, but mother says only that I was a fine and pretty baby. My brothers and sisters must have agreed because they often teased me when I was young, telling me I was too pretty to be a boy, that I should have been a girl. This baby-faced appearance dogged me for a long time, and it was one of the reasons I fought so often in school. I looked younger than I actually was, and soft, which encouraged schoolmates to test me. I had to show them. When I went to jail in 1968, I still had the baby face. Until then, I rarely shaved. My parents named me after Huey Pierce Long, the former governor of Louisiana, assassinated 7 years before I came along. Even though he could not vote, my father had a keen interest in politics and followed the campaigns carefully. Governor Long had impressed him by his ability to talk one philosophy while carrying out programs that moved Louisiana in exactly the opposite direction. My father says he was up front, quote, looking right into his mouth, end of quote, when Huey P. Long made a speech about how Black men in the hospitals, out of their minds and half naked, had to be cared for by white nurses. This was, of course, unacceptable to Southern whites, and therefore a number of Black nurses were recruited to work in Louisiana hospitals. This was a major breakthrough in employment opportunities for Black professionals. Huey Long used this tactic to bring other beneficial programs to Blacks: free books in the schools, free commodities for the poor, public roads and bridge construction, projects that gave Blacks employment. While most whites were blinded by Long's outwardly racist philosophy, many Blacks found their lives significantly improved. My father believed that Huey P. Long had been a great man, and he wanted to name his son after him. In our family, there was a tradition that each older child had particular responsibility for a younger one, looking after him at play, feeding him, taking him to school. This was called giving the newborn to an older brother or sister. The older child had the privilege of first taking the new baby outdoors. I was given to my brother Walter Jr. A few days after I was born, he took me outside, hauled me up onto the back of a horse, and circled the house while the rest of the family followed. This ritual is undoubtedly a surviving Africanism from the age-old matriarchal communal tradition. I do not remember that or anything else of our life in Louisiana. Everything I know about that time I learned from my family. In 1945, we followed my father to Oakland. When he came west to look for work in the wartime industries, I was 3 years old. If you remember from Tuesday, Bobby Seale's father did the same thing, got a job because of the wartime industries. The great exodus of poor people out of the South during World War II sprang from the hope for a better life in the big cities of the North and West. In search of freedom, they left behind centuries of Southern cruelty and repression. Of Bedford-Stuyvesant, Newark, Brownsville, Watts, Detroit, and many others stand as testament that racism is as oppressive in the North as it is in the South. Oakland is no different. The Chamber of Commerce boasts about Oakland's busy seaport, its museum, professional baseball and football teams, and the beautiful sports coliseum. The politicians speak of an efficient city government and the well-administered poverty program. The poor know better, and they will tell you a different story. Oakland has one of the highest unemployment rates in the country, and for the Black population, it is even higher. This was not always the case. After World War I, there was a hectic period of industrial expansion, and again during World War II, when government recruiters went into the South and encouraged thousands of Blacks to come to Oakland to work in the shipyards and wartime industries. They came and stayed after the war, although there were few jobs and they were no longer wanted. Because of the lack of employment opportunities in Oakland today, the number of families on welfare is the second highest in California. Even though the city is the fifth largest in the state, the police department has a long history of brutality and hatred of Blacks. 25 years ago, official crime became so bad that the California state legislature investigated the Oakland force and found corruption so pervasive that the police chief was forced to resign and one policeman was tried and sentenced to jail. The Oakland system has not changed since then. Police brutality continues and corruption persists. Not everyone in Oakland will admit this, particularly the power structure and the privileged white middle class, but then none of them actually lives in Oakland. Oakland spreads from the northern border of Berkeley, dominated by the University of California with its liberal to radical lifestyle, south to the Port of Oakland and Jack London Square, a complex of mediocre motels, novelty shops, and restaurants with second-rate food. To the west, 8 miles across the bay, spanned by the San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge, is metropolitan San Francisco. To the east is a lily-white bedroom city called San Leandro. There are two very distinct geographic Oaklands, the flatlands and the hills. In the hills and the rich area known as Piedmont, the upper middle class and upper class, the bosses of Oakland live. Among them, former United States Senator William Nolan, the owner of the ultra-conservative Oakland Tribune, Oakland's only newspaper. His neighbors, including the mayor, the district attorney, and other wealthy white folks, live there in big houses surrounded by green trees and high fences. I'm going to stop here for Huey, and I'm going to remind you that this book was written, I believe, in 1973, and Huey was in solitary confinement when the interviewers that helped him write this autobiography, okay, when they were writing down his perceptions of his early childhood, but it was published in 1973. Huey was interviewed for this in, I believe, 1968. Okay, now I'm going to go to Bobby's autobiography. Here it is, A Lonely Rage. And as I mentioned on Tuesday, Bobby did not have the kind of writers to help him write this book, as did Huey. It was a different publishing company. This book was written, I shouldn't say written, it was published in 1978, and I happen to know that a lot was going on in Oakland at that time, and Bobby Seale was kind of on the run. But here we go. Here's Bobby's early life. In San Antonio, I sat at the table eating, looking and listening to Mama and Daddy arguing while I stuffed my mouth and chewed my food. "George," Mama said, "when we going to get a house?" We'll get one, Daddy answered irritably. Well, I sure hope you don't throw away the little money we got, Mama shot out. We'll build a house. Thelma? Shit. Every time I sit down to eat, Thelma, you start this same argument. Now, George, that ain't no way to act. I'll act any way I want to act. Here we is rooming, Mama said, just like we did before we built our house in Port Arthur, Texas. I just want to stop here for a moment. Remind you, Bobby's father built their house. Like he built the house that they previously lived in Port Arthur, Texas. Okay, now they're in San Antonio. He went looking for work through the war industries, just like Huey Newton's father did. Okay. Here we is rooming, this is what his mama said, just like we did before we built our house in Port Arthur, Texas. If I build another house, we got to sell that one. Like I said before, you're making enough money. We can build another house without selling the one we got. When this war's over, we can go back and live there. We ought to keep that house there. Mama shook her head disgustedly. I hope you don't throw our money away, running with them Wilcoxes. Now, goddamn it, Thelma, Daddy shouted, halting in his eating motion. I don't want to talk about that no more. Then he scared me as he glanced at me. George, we got to get someplace other than this room, Mama emphasized. We all just bunched up in it. Mama moved her arms out and up into the air. I needs my own kitchen. Ain't you tired of rooming, George? Daddy sat at the table in his undershirt. He didn't say anything. His arms were big and his arm muscle would get bigger as he moved, his fork full of food back and forth from his plate to his mouth. I was 6 years old, a skinny, barefoot kid. I watched him, stuffing food into my mouth, then chewing and chewing. Bobby, Daddy yelled out, stop that smacking. I was startled and frightened. I stopped eating. What is it I'm doing? What was smacking? Lord, Mama said, and she sighed in her words. I sure wish we was back in Jasper so I could be nearer my mama. Doggone it, Thelma, Daddy shouted loudly. I'll get a house. Now I don't want to talk about it no more. Now, George, you ain't got no reason to be acting like that in front of these children, cussing me and carrying on. The other people in this room and place be wondering what kind of father you is. These damn folks ain't going to tell me what to do, Thelma. I got my own money and I'll do things the way I want to. I just wish we'd get some place to stay. I gulped my food. The argument made me forget about. Cut out that damn smacking, Bobby, my daddy bellowed. Smacking must have something to do with eating, but what? The next day we moved into a big house, an old one next to an old creepy white painted church. The house creaked and cracked at night. There was no toilet. Mama had to take the slop jar over to the church's toilet and empty it. I just want to point out to you all, a slop jar is what was used during the enslavement period of Black people. Linda Brent carried a slop jar, all right, and emptied her Mrs. and the Mrs. daughter's waste, all right, every day and every night. That's what a slop jar is, okay? I just wanted to remind you of all that. We'll get back to the reading of the slavery period next week. All right. The paint, and was peeling off the house, and you had to go outside with a pail to get water from the faucet out in the back. Betty and John, that's his brothers and sisters. It was 3 of them. Bobby's the oldest. Betty, John, and I believed there was a boogeyman in the church at night. The creaking house made me believe he was walking around looking for me to cut off my ears. Like the fat man, I'd put my head under the covers in fright. We saw less and less of my daddy. He surprised me one evening as I sat at the table, gulping my food down. Bobby, He hollered, "Stop that goddamn smacking." This is not funny. "Stop eating like a damn hog." I was shocked and scared. Scared to chew the food already in my mouth. I would not eat now as my daddy sat down at the table. I began to forget about helping to build another house. Daddy would be gone 2 or 3 days at a time. When he did come home, he would shock Betty, John, and me. We would be playing loudly sometimes, not knowing he had entered the house. "Cut out that music," he would bellow. Just that one phrase, and you could hear a pin drop. At other times, one of us might spot Daddy coming. We would run to tell the others, "Ooh," we seriously, fearfully, and quietly warn, "Here come Daddy." We liked it when our daddy wasn't around. Whippings grew few and far between. I approached 7 years of age during the first summer of the house next to the old church. I liked summer. I played freely in the weeds and grass of an empty lot by the big old church, intently watching, time after time, how the big red ants moved back and forth, carrying bits of bread that I dropped along their trail near their anthill. One day, red ants got all over me, making me shiver and jump. I was so shook up, jumping around, trying to get the ants off, imagining them biting me. I unknowingly stumbled into the anthill itself, falling it over, right into the ants. I jumped around spastically, knocking ants off me. I got a bucket of water and tried to drown the ants. I saw ants swim in small puddles of water as the water slowly seeped, disappearing into the anthill. Going to Sunday school, that bored me. Then I had to go to church where I was vague about understanding hell and the real meaning of fire and brimstone. I'm going to stop right there. And I want to say a few things about Bobby and his family. Bobby, as a child, check it. His father never explained anything to him. All right. And a lot of parents were like that. A lot of parents are like that. So I just want to take this moment to say to you, talk to your children. Talk to them seriously about how the earth works and what is their purpose for even being here. Now, what I'm saying might even be vague to you. But I need for you to think about what I am saying, because as those of you who have been following me on Readings with Regina, we're going to Assata in a minute, you know that I want to raise the intellectualism of our people. That is important because our people are too caught up in white American culture, history, and society. These people have not loved us. Understand that we were enslaved in this country. Once slavery was over, at least what you could see slavery, chattel slavery, right? You think they really opened their arms to us? That's a dream, Black people. That's a dream. We must do for self. And I really want to implant that in your mind. At the same time that I let you know that you had a Black army that loved you. Okay, that lived for you. Okay? Very important what I'm saying here. Now let me get to this outstanding heroine, this Black woman. Okay? That even the current CIA director said, no, she's a terrorist. Don't listen to that. This woman was a part of the army. Understand that. All right, here we go. Now we're going into the 70s. Okay, we were in the 40s just a minute ago. Now, I'm not going to read all these charges that the judge said to Assata while she's in bed. You know, she got bullets and all that. She's in bed in the hospital. And here come the judge, all right, and his minions, and read a whole page of charges. Wait a minute, it's not one page. 2 pages of charges. I'll just give you an example. You are further charged in complaint S119983, wherein Detective Sergeant Taranto says on the 2nd day of May 1973 in the township of East Brunswick, County of Middlesex, that you did unlawfully and illegally and forcibly take from the person of New Jersey State Trooper Werner Foster a 38 caliber revolver by violence, to wit, by shooting, slaying, and killing the same Werner Foster, all in violation of NJS 2A141-1. The second count of that complaint charges you with, okay, again, I'm not going to read all that. Here's Assata. I think he will never stop. Half of the charges I don't even understand. I interrupt the proceedings. I don't have a lawyer here, I protest. I would like to have a lawyer present. They ignore me and keep on reading. How do you plead? They ask me. I would like to have a lawyer present, she says. Don't I have a right to have a lawyer? That will not be necessary, the judge says coldly, entering a plea of not guilty for the defendant. And just as quickly as they entered, the procession departs. Later, the same policewoman comes back. She stands idly against the wall. Her face is a mask. Oh no, I think. Court again? What are they going to do? Railroad me here now? I imagine myself being tried right here in the bed with no lawyer. The door's open. It is Evelyn, my lawyer and aunt. Lawyer and aunt. She is the most beautiful sight in the world. She embraces me and sits down next to me. As usual, she is business first. I only have a few minutes, she tells me. They told me that I couldn't see you. I had to go to court and get a court order to see you. The judge would give us only 5 minutes apiece. Your mother and sister are outside, so talk fast. We look up. The police are practically standing in our mouths. I would like to talk with my client in private, Evelyn says. Would you please move back? This is an outrage. This is an attorney-client visit, and we have a constitutional right to privacy. The police move back 1 inch. I tell Evelyn about the kangaroo court in the morning. My mouth moves so fast it's like one of those old-style movies, but a talkie. I can see from the expression on her face that I must look horrible. How are they treating you, she asks. I don't have time to tell her the whole story, but I have to let her know what is going on. I don't know what they will do next. I have to try to get someone to put pressure on them to stop. I tell her some of it, but I just can't tell her the worst things. Her face looks so pitiful, and every time I tell her something else, her hands shake. Try to do what you can, I say. Time's up. Time's up, miss. Evelyn makes her futile protest. I need to talk with my client. This is just not enough time. Sorry, miss, time's up. They move toward her like they are going to beat her up. Then she's gone. I brace myself for my mother and my sister. It has been such a long time since I've seen them. I don't know what to expect. My mother comes in. She looks worried, but strong. She kisses me. I'm proud of you, she says. The words spin around me, weaving a warm blanket of love. I am so happy. I can hardly contain myself. My mother is proud of me. She loves me, and she's proud of me. Too soon the time with my mother is up. My sister comes in. She has her hair wrapped in a turban, and she looks so pale. As soon as she sees me, she breaks out crying. Tears stream down her already puffy face. I can tell she has been crying a lot. I love you, she says simply. We don't do a lot of talking, but I feel so very close to her during those few moments. Time's up again, and then she's gone. I lie there, full of emotion. All of this is so hard on my family. They look vulnerable and shaken. This is maybe harder on them than it is on me. I wish there was something I can do to make them happy. 2 black nurses were very kind to me. When they were on duty, they would go out of their way to make sure I was all right. They made frequent trips to my room, for which I was especially grateful during those first days. If you need anything, just ring, they said knowingly. One night, one of the nurses came in and gave me 3 books. I hadn't even thought about reading. The books were a godsend. They had been carefully selected. One was a book of Black poetry. Yo! Black poetry. Yes! Black poetry. One was a book called Black Women in White America, and the third was a novel, Siddhartha, by Herman Hesse. Whenever I tired of the verbal abuse of my captors, I would drown them out by reading the poetry out loud. Invictus and If We Must Die were the poems I usually read. I read them over and over and over until I was sure the guards had heard every word. The poems were my message to them. When I read the book about Black women, I felt the spirits of those sisters feeding me, making me stronger. Black women have been struggling and helping each other to survive the blows of life since the beginning of time. And when I read Siddhartha, a peace came over me. I felt a unity with all things living. The world, in spite of oppression, is a beautiful place. I would say, softly to myself, letting my lips vibrate. I felt the birds, the sun, and the trees. I was in communion with all the forces on the earth that truly love people, in communion with all the revolutionary forces on earth. People, did you hear Assata? Did you hear what she had to say? That is what's up with members and founders of the original Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. I want you to know about these things. I want you to think about how important Black poetry was to her. I'm just about out of time. I was going to show you, well, let me at least show you this. I want you to see this book. It's called, now this is a current book, No Cop City, No Cop World. And one of the reasons that I wanted to show you this is because one of the editors of the book is Kamal Franklin. That is a very important activist. Look him up. He's on X. But in any event, I want to say thank you for hanging with me. I want to say thank you for being with me. I want to really make you understand that you should create your own holidays, that you should create your own learning sessions, and that you should teach your children yourself. I love you dearly, my subscribers. You are prayed for every night and every day. And until next Tuesday at 2 o'clock, I wish you the very best that this earth has to offer. Bye now.